Not you, really?
Yeah.
So wait a minute.
It made us poorer running the Raj.
Wait, you're telling me that the British actually went out, they colonized the country at a loss. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying they went out to do it a loss. I'm saying it ended up being that way. Of course they didn't go, oh yeah, let's make ourselves poorer.
No, but did they benefit from it or not?
I would say very minimally. I would say
minimally, really?
Basically.
I don't think you've read the history.
I think I have actually.
Okay, so
that's fine.
So what you're saying is
I recommend you look at Alternative Hypothesis blog.
If you look at the East India Company, how it actually ended up becoming.
Okay, the EIC is not Britain. Sorry, I interrupted you. Please.
It's not Britain.
EIC is not.
Where was it based? Where was the headquarters based?
That doesn't matter. It's a corporation.
No. Where was their headquarters based?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't. That's like saying.
So let me get this right.
So Google.
If a company
hang on. Is Google the? Okay, I'll let him talk.
If a company is based and registered in England,
yes,
it is not an English company.
No, it's not England. I'm not.
It's not England. So where is it? No. Of course, it's not England, but it's an English company.
I know. All I said was
the name itself says.
I said
India.
the EIC is not tautologically equivalent to the British Empire. That was my claim.
I didn't say it was the British Empire.
Okay,
it colluded with the British Empire.
Yes, that's true.
And you're saying that doesn't matter.
I know. I'm saying.
So if you collude with a terrorist, are you not a terrorist?
That depends.
It's a good analogy, do you not think?
It's a reasonable analogy.
No, it's a realistic analogy because that is exactly what happened during 9/11. You know why they invaded Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Because they thought that Osama bin Laden actually was given shelter by Afghan people.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the reason they had every right to destroy Afghanistan, just for that reason.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying the East India Company, which colluded with the empire, with the king, and then they actually overtook India. So they went on the pretext of trading with India.
Yeah.
Yes. At that time, India was basically India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these countries were one country.
Yeah.
Yes, and then they plundered that country to its bones, basically. And
that's actually not really true, though.
Well, you go look it up, and you'll see the reason why this country, which had the highest GDP before the colonialists came, yes, they actually.
Okay, sorry.
Let me finish.
I apologize.
And by the time they left, they had actually plundered the country to such an extent that they are suffering to this day for what happened to them during the colonialist period.
Okay.
Now, the people of India did suffer. Do you not agree?
Of course they did. No one denies that.
Yes, and under the British rule, yes, they did suffer. So this colonialism is a very bad thing. It is not something that I'm not saying the countries did not benefit from it. Of course, there was some benefit. Yes, but I think they lost more than they benefited. For example,
you could argue that.
The benefits I say is like maybe they had this transport system, postal system, education system. These things were instilled, and I think they still are proud of those. So if you go to India and places like that, they're still proud of their Victorian schools and so on.
It's the railways that everyone like me makes the argument.
But that was a good thing that happened because of. But do you know why those things were there in the first place? It was to benefit the Raj.
Yes.
So the postal system benefited the Raj, the transportation system, and also the education system.
Fine.
However, the majority of people who lived in poverty,
impoverished.
Yeah, you were impoverished by the Raj. Yes, they are. I think their progeny is still suffering to this day because of what happened to them during. Now you tell me which of what I just said you disagree with.
All right. There was a lot of. Okay, sorry. Thank you. So I apologize for interrupting you.
No.
So all right. So the claim, just because you quickly said the first thing about GDP, which GDP was so high before before the Raj. Okay, and then it just goes out. That's actually only sort of half true. So GDP as a percentage of the world, like proportion of world GDP, was much higher before percentage of world
India,
GDP. Of India before colonization. Okay, what you're not taking into account is that actually other world economies. So like it still grew. Okay, like as a proportion of the world GDP, it shrunk, but as GDP, like as an absolute, it still increased. So the reason it went down as a proportion is because the Japanese economy went like that, and the Chinese economy went like that, and European economies were still shooting up. So India becomes less proportionately of world GDP, not because they got done over by Britain, but just because loads of other global economies were doing much better, right? Is that fair to say?
No, it's not, because the manufacturing did not take place. For example, cotton was produced in India.
Okay.
Yes, most of the cotton was actually exported to Britain. So the clothes were manufactured and then sold back to the Indians at a much higher price. So instead of benefiting the people, like the reason I'm using colonialism,
that's
because
I'm glad you are.
Because before, the Muslims, before the United Nations, the Muslims used to conquer countries as well. Yes, so I'm not saying that it was only the prerogative, it was only something that the British were involved in. many other nations, yes, they used to go and they used to take over.
And that's how it was. That's how it works.
Exactly. That
In
was
fact-
the norm.
in
That
fact-
was the norm.
Mohammed Hijab put this in a really nice way. He said this existed in a sort of climate of what international relations
Yes.
scholars call realism. This is the realists' paradigm of how global
So if you were
relations work.
stronger than another country, they would just take a flag and hoist it in that country.
Might
and they
makes
say,
right.
That's
You know,
mine.
this
Yeah,
is the
my
Melian
post-
dialogue, like
yes.
this did.
However, if you look at the history wherever Muslims went,
Yeah.
that country actually prospered. So
I'm saying the same for the
so
British.
when they went
I'm saying the same for
when
the
they went to
British.
Spain or
Yeah.
when they went to India, it actually prospered, and they did not take things back to that country to benefit their country.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So this was when you look at history, this is what I see. But when you look at wherever the Europeans went, whether it's the Portuguese or the Spanish or the English, yes, they actually completely sucked all the most of the resources of those countries, and they did not benefit much the local communities. And they destroyed look at most of Africa and Asia today. The reason they were impoverished is because the resources.
No, that's not true.
Africa and Asia, they have got really good resources in terms of like gold and diamond and minerals and I don't know, iron ore, everything.
They've also got,
everything you
they're
can
also
think of.
genetically different from us.
What's
Are
that
you,
got-
are you one of those
what's that
people?
got to
Wait,
do with
wait,
this?
do you think, wait, are you one of those people who think
Are they
that
humans?
if it hasn't been to of course they're humans. Are you one of those
So how
people?
are they genetically
wait, are you,
different?
what do you mean? How are black people genetically different from white people?
What, they got more melanin?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
than you.
Okay. So, yeah,
How
of
is
course
that
the-
genetically different? Do they have the same genes or different genes?
Wait, you think that skin differences in skin color, you don't think that's genetic?
No, I'm saying in terms of being a human,
Yeah.
how does it differentiate that?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Like you are a human, a black man is a human.
Oh no, of course it doesn't make. Of course, the skin pigmentation doesn't
So
make
what do
you
you
any
mean?
less a human.
Why did you bring genetically different? Just by
Because-
skin pigmentation, that's it?
No, it's obvious. I'm saying that's one example of a genetic difference. Because
Are you one
that's
of those
obvious.
people who consider black people to be less intelligent than you?
I think that there are IQ differences between racial groups. Of course, not all black people. That's a stupid thing. Thomas Sowell is smarter than me. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson is smarter than me. Okay, plenty of white people are stupider than plenty of black people. That's
I'm glad you say that.
of course, yeah. Like,
So let's not discriminate them based on
I'm
their
not.
genes.
I'm
because
not. That's not discrimination. I'm sorry.
even the skin color. Even the skin color.
I'm not discriminating against any. Well, okay, discrimination is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, you discriminate every time. You discriminate on who you wish to talk to. I've discriminated.
I don't actually.
No, yes you do. I discriminated against everyone else right now in favor of talking to you because I could be talking to someone over there.
Yeah, but you did it by volition. I didn't force you.
No, I'm not saying it's forced. I'm saying it's a good thing.
So,
that's an
I wouldn't-
example
by
of
the way-
willing discrimination.
By the way, choosing your interlocutor is not something I consider as discrimination. It's a choice not based on your skin color or that you are
not racial.
of a different culture.
I didn't say it was.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Discrimination actually implies that.
No, it doesn't.
If I choose to
It
talk
has
to
connotations today.
For example, if I choose not to talk to someone who's obnoxious, would you consider that discrimination?
Yes.
Oh,
That's in a good way.
But
I wouldn't.
How can it be discrimination if I don't want to talk to a fool?
Because you discriminate against people who are less intelligent. Why would you not?
No. A fool necessarily not less
fine,
intelligent.
a fool, yeah, sure, okay.
He might be obnoxious for many other reasons.
I'll give you that. Right. Yeah, I discriminate against unpleasant people every day.
Exactly.
Everyone
but
does.
I wouldn't use the term discrimination.
I would. I guess that's a semantic difference.
It's basically your choice to speak to someone that you feel comfortable with.
For me,
all it is.
For me, that's
it's
what
not
discrimination is. For me, I think we're defining discrimination.
Discrimination is like, for example, if it's something prejudicial, then I would consider
I-
that to be
Okay.
discriminatory.
I
Now, if you do
agree.
not have any logical reason to talk to someone, then that would be discriminatory.
Yeah.
Yes, but I wouldn't consider not talking to someone who is obnoxious or who basically swears all the time, or who might be smoking in front of me when I don't like someone smoking in front of me or blowing smoke in my face or something like that. I wouldn't call that discrimination.
I would. And in fact, you say, oh, I wouldn't. I think.
Then we differ in our.
Yeah, we're differing in our semantics, but I also say the same about prejudice. Okay, I think that prejudice.
Anyway, sorry, where were we?
prejudice is not a bad thing. You know, like. Anyway, sorry. So you.
So what about-
You brought this up because I mentioned genes, and I just said it's not a racist thing to say that. Of course, different cultures are like different peoples with different genes are going to build different cultures. Of course they are. Like, why would you have any reason to think otherwise? Why would you have any reason to think that Africans who are
But isn't that
genetically
positive? Let's say you bring all these good things in a different cultures and then you work together, wouldn't that be something
Well,
better?
in the same country, the same geographic country. No, that's
Might be in the same city.
No, oh, I don't want that.
And why is it?
Look at London. It's
What's
probably
wrong with London?
London.
Look at the NHS.
The native.
How many white people run it?
Look at the NHS.
What I'm saying is that if you remove all the ethnic minorities from there,
I don't want to
the
do that.
NHS will probably collapse. And so is the transport system.
Yes,
here.
I think the NHS
What I'm
could
saying
do
is
with a
that
lot of reforming.
the NHS and the transport system here, and many other systems in this country,
yeah.
I think they work quite well when we integrate all the different cultures together. They bring in their own specialities, they bring in their own variety, I would say, and that is a good thing.
I think it's not. So let me just clarify. Nobody.
Don't forget the restaurants.
Yeah.
The English people love the Indian
the food,
curry.
the food. Multiculturalism. We can have curry while our culture's dying.
How many
Going
days?
back is a mashal day.
Yeah, how many days are you going to have fish and chips
Boring,
for?
mate.
By the way, do you like curry?
I love curry.
Back to topic.
Yeah, sorry. So I should just say, nobody in the nationalist movement that I know of denies that, like, foreign people or foreign-born people, okay, work hard.
Are you a nationalist?
Yeah, not only work hard, bring benefit to the system.
Some do, not all.
What do you mean some?
I
I would say the same thing
it's
with
a
the
net-
English people then.
Yeah, you
Some
could-
English people
I would
benefit,
say,
some don't.
I would say,
I would say like this about every person.
Okay, so I would say, so regarding colonialism, generally the trend is
we going back to colonialism?
just briefly, economic benefit, psychologically awful, okay? Because you're robbing,
Whoa.
you're robbing
Not
Indians
just
of their sovereignty.
psychologically, physically. They were tortured during the slavery
Fine,
period.
fine. Oh,
Okay?
I would say that ultimately.
They
traces
used to
back
take
psychology.
boatloads of people from Africa,
Yes.
all over the world, and you don't just say psychologically, my friend.
Fine,
Okay?
physically. I'm not trying to downplay. I'm just
No,
saying.
no, but
I
you
believe-
did actually. You did downplay.
I
You
don't
tried
think
to
I did.
whitewash it.
I didn't try to whitewash it. That's
Slavery was bad.
whitewash. Right. No. I'm saying ultimately when you torture someone, you beat them. Why is that bad? It's because it's as ultimately. I guess you could distinguish between. The
All
physical
I'm
and
saying
mental.
is that what's wrong with working together? That's all I'm saying.
What's wrong with working together with everyone in their own lands? What's wrong with trading between people? What's wrong with working together?
Yeah, I have no
as a
problem with
world?
that. Trading
Okay.
with people,
So why can't
working
we?
together.
So why can't we
I'm
do it
saying
in our own countries?
why not work together in the same geographic location?
Because if we
now
carry
that
on-
we
because
now
if we
that globalization has gone global,
Yeah.
why not?
Because why? Because if we carry on working together at the same rate that we currently are, then soon enough there's going to be no more English people who will be able to work to offer what they.
Breed more babies.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Good point.
Absolutely.
The Greeks has got a good point.
By the way, I don't have anything against any foreign person. I blame my own government completely.
No,
Like,
no,
it's
no.
not-
Why
It's not
was
a
it-
prejudice.
Wait,
Baby
wait.
breed.
No,
Why
why?
no for birth rates going down?
So you're saying English people who decide to have only maybe 2 children or 1 child, do you think that's the government's fault? How?
That's okay. No, I should say not the current government's fault. I should say.
No,
I should
even
say-
the past government. How is that fault?
I would say.
Somebody forced them to do that?
Not forced, but I would say, for example, the introduction of no-fault divorce in the 1960s.
Sorry, no.
No-fault divorce.
No-fault divorce.
Yeah, because people when you're married and especially when you're religious,
Is that a thing? You can divorce someone for no fault of that?
it's more of a legal term. It's just one example. I'm saying
No, but
measures.
I'm asking, is that a literal thing or?
Essentially it makes divorce a much easier thing to.
Yeah, but you cannot just go to the court of law and say I want a divorce and I give no reason. I think they have to give a reason, right? At least a reasonable reason.
It's more okay. That's like an extreme version of it, but it's much easier than it was before. Let's say. Okay.
Okay,
So
fair
like
enough.
measures like that, which are basically also the kind of I would say the kind of attack on Christianity culturally. It's as people have strived to make.
Christianity doesn't let you divorce at all, unless you committed adultery.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying.
Do you agree with that?
It depends how you interpret Christianity. I'm not here to have a theological.
No,
debate.
but
I'm
you believe
saying-
in the Bible, right?
Sort of.
So you're not a Christian then?
Well,
Yes,
you,
well,
you,
sort of.
you can call me what you want. I don't care. you
No,
know?
I don't want to call you anything. I want you to define yourself.
I'm just somebody who believes.
Are
that
you a
there is-
Christian, sir?
I'm someone who believes that there is a high being that we call God, and I believe that the Christian conception of that is one of the most reasonable ways to interpret that. And I like the fact that my culture is historically Christian, but I also recognise the contributions that pagan culture has given us as well. And I have the deepest respect for people who have a conception of.
No, it's not
God
about
as
defining
Odin.
other people. I'm asking how do you define yourself?
I define myself as a weird sort of
Sort of.
fusion, a weird sort of fusion, a blend of kind of Christianity and paganism.
right.
That's the short answer. Okay,
Pagan.
many of us, struggle with religious issues.
No. If you're not sure about
We can't all be,
if you're not, look, if you're
rooted
not-
in ourselves like you Muslims.
No. There are many Muslims who might be confused as well.
True.
But most of them at least know the basics. Like for example, if you do not
I know
worship
the
one God
basics.
and you submit to one God, or you basically commit shirk,
Yeah.
you associate others with God.
Yeah, yeah.
This basic they know.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I know the
so
basics.
when I
of
ask someone,
fundamental
are you a
Christianity.
Muslim? And they say yes, and then I say, hold on, but you also believe in Jesus to be God, then I don't consider
course,
you,
of
but based on the rule of the Quran, that you are a Muslim because you just contradicted the Quran.
Sure, but
But
like,
I'm sure the Christians will judge you the same way.
they will, absolutely will. I'm sure.
That's the reason I asked you what
I'm
you
sure
think.
I'm a complete heretic, going to hell in the eyes of the Catholic Church. Okay, I'm not, and
Well,
then-
the
I'm prob-
Catholics are under the kettle of fish, but
The witch.
so yeah, I mean, look,
That's it.
when you talk about cultural diversity, I see there is a lot of benefit.
Okay,
we
that's what we're
we
talking
can benefit from each other, and
From
this
what,
has
sorry?
happened throughout.
cultural diversity.
Yeah, we have seen this everywhere around the world today. Yes, so you go to any country, I think
actually-
most of them today, the reason they have come to accepting cultural diversity as opposed to having just a mono ethnicity.
Okay.
Yes. it's-
No, most cultures that aren't most non-European countries are actually not reaping the benefits of multiculturalism right now. Why? Because they prefer to have their
I'll
own
give you-
country for their own people.
I'll give you one country.
Okay.
Singapore.
Sure, you can. I'm not saying everyone.
I think
okay,
they benefited a lot. This is a country, small
see, this
country.
is a-
and so you don't say there's no country. There are many examples I can give you.
I'm sure
but
you.
cannot,
I'm sure you could give a
cannot-
dozen now. I'm
Okay.
saying.
So you give me a country which has benefited just by excluding anyone except their own ethnicity. Go on. I've given you one. You give me one.
Well, it's not quite like this, but
Why not? You should
sort
be able to give me at
sort of-
least one
no,
example.
I will, but sort of Israel, like.
What? Israel has cultural diversity.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
cultural diversity.
No, but they do.
Yeah.
Look, the Jews, they might be a race, yes, but they come from Russia, they come from all different places in the world. So don't say it's just the Jews in Israel.
Oh, no, but they are-
In fact, the
no.
Jews in Israel are probably a minority.
Okay.
The original
To say,
ethnic-
I disagree. Yeah, I disagree with you saying that some Jews are Russian. That's
Not some,
really.
loads. Loads.
No, I
They
don't
come from
really.
Ukraine, from Russia.
No,
you probably know.
I think
Yes?
I think if you're Jewish, you are really Israeli. You might have family that have settled in Russia or Britain or
Okay,
America or
let's
Germany.
define the term Jewish. Are you talking racially?
Different kinds of
There's different
So
kinds.
there are
Yeah,
atheists.
that's
There are
about it.
atheist Jews as well.
Yeah, there's secular
Yes, you
Jews,
know that.
of course.
Now,
Karl Marx was one.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by they have benefited? How?
So who benefited? Sorry.
Israel.
Israel.
Because you gave that as an example.
Oh, how have Israel benefited from
It's
being
in a state of war.
from
today.
being
How is it benefiting them?
Okay, it's in a state of war because it's still a very young country and people are still pissed off with the way that they got hold of that country. But I'm saying they have
When
very,
did Israel? When was it formed?
when was it re-established in 1948?
When was Pakistan established?
Same, yeah.
Same time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's
Is
still-
Pakistan in a state of war?
It's not in a state of war, but it's hardly a harmonious little paradise right
Well,
now.
any country. I mean, how many is like subjective now? Okay. There is. There's tension. I'm not saying there's no tension. There's
Yeah.
tension between here and Ireland for some time. Does it make it
Not-
like in a
not-
state
not
of
on
war?
the- not on the
No, it's
same
not.
scale,
I
but
don't think it's comparable. Like
Yeah.
the
Really,
situation
like
in
I would
Kashmir,
say
for
Like the
not
example,
IRA coming here and,
Kashmir is
causing a
really
lot
big
of
deal.
terrorism.
yes.
I don't think there was any tension.
I think
Seriously.
it's worse.
no one's saying it, but there's no
Well,
tensions.
have you been to Pakistan, my friend? Well, maybe you should visit it sometime. Okay. Anyway, I'm
if
not
I
saying.
haven't been,
I'm
I
saying.
can't know
I'm
what's
saying there
going
are many countries out there which are what you say young countries, and they are actually quite well off. In terms not only in terms of monetary or financially, I mean in terms of diversity, in terms of as successful countries, there are quite a few. Look up countries which have formed after that.
That's fine. Okay, let me respond.
Anyway,
to that
Israel
then.
was a bad example. Any other country?
No, wait, hang on. Let me turn to the example of a culture, an old country which is, multicultural. Because the United States, right? Okay, that's I guess a young country on sort of global standards, right? But yeah, interesting. So you could say, oh, look at America. They're like,
America
land
is
of
what?
anyone.
250 years old? How old is it?
76 was when it was founded, right? So
Something, yeah, not
Yeah.
that old.
So you could say, oh, look at America. America has people coming, from all over the world, right? It's got people. You can go there.
they not benefiting?
Land of the free. Well, okay. So here's the interesting thing. Let me say this, right? So are they doing amazingly right now? Are they? I mean, they're a global
Well, it's just-
superpower.
exactly.
Right? Yes, but if you look actually at the net budget effects of people who are not the original, sort of European settlers, it actually, do you know how, like, they'd be hundreds of billions of dollars richer if they basically didn't have a bunch of migrant leeches or children of
Hold
migrant
on.
leeches.
Those Europeans were migrant leeches.
Oh, so we're playing this game. Okay, we're playing this game. Lovely.
Who does America belong to? before the Europeans came there as colonialists.
Okay, I'm very glad you say this.
Yeah. Who did it belong to?
Let me.
And where are they today?
I want to hear this.
You remember the example I gave you that wherever they go, they don't benefit the local people because the Native Americans have actually literally been wiped out. Yes, the same thing happened in Australia.
Still Native Americans
Same thing happened in Australia.
No, they haven't. I've seen Native Americans. I've seen Aboriginal
They became the
people.
minority.
You just said they've been
In
literally
what
wiped out. They
mass
haven't
have
literally
you
wiped
When I
out.
say literally, they became the minority in their own country.
Okay, no, you said literally wiped out, implying it was.
So
a
what
bloody genocide.
you're suggesting shouldn't happen to your country, you actually did to other countries.
Okay, no, there is a
When I say you, I mean Europeans.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Okay, right. There is a difference between arriving in a piece of land where people have not established.
I like the way you said arriving.
Hang on. Fine, settling, colonizing.
Oh, they just came
Fine, colonizing.
peacefully
No, fine.
on a boat.
Okay, most of them
With
actually.
roses.
Actually, most interactions.
peace
hang
pipe.
on, most interactions were peaceful, actually, but fine. Okay, right, fine. Call it colonizing. Call it violently. You know, I don't know, whatever. You know, war. You know,
Were the natives not killed?
Of course,
In big numbers.
Of course.
In millions.
In big
No,
numbers.
not diseases.
In big.
They brought the diseases.
In big numbers.
They brought the diseases as well.
Hang on. In big numbers, but not as big numbers as everyone likes to say. Okay.
No, I'm not
If it
saying
was
that.
because people say, oh, it was a Native American genocide. Why then did the population only decline by 0.22% each year? Okay, that would sound like a genocide to me.
Wait. You're saying that these people, they came there peacefully? They grabbed the land?
No, I
and they
didn't
just
say
brought
that.
the land?
I said many. I'm not sure about most. I don't have the data to say that. I'm saying many interactions were peaceful. Now there were individual examples
many
of
interactions,
genocide.
but most were not peaceful.
I'm not sure if you can say most.
I would say most.
I'd have to check that for
The
you.
fact that
Yeah,
the
you
Native
could say
Americans
that, but
today are a minority in their own continent. I would say continent because both North America and South America, both of them, they did not have a white European race existing before they were colonized. Do you agree with that?
Ish. So,
What do you mean if it's
right? So you're saying
So
okay,
you're
so
saying
they're
they
wiped
existed
out.
before? No, I'm not talking about wipe out here. I'm just asking, in terms of population,
Yes.
were the white Europeans there before they colonized those countries?
Well, actually, the salutarian hypothesis says that they might have been.
But I don't want mighty, I want
Well, I don't care.
I want
That's
facts.
what a hypothesis
No,
is.
don't give
Sorry.
me speculations, give me facts.
Well, I can't. Some people have a hypothesis that they weren't. Some people have the hypothesis
Well,
that they
many
were.
people have hypotheses that are lizards walking amongst us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I know. So,
I'm going to believe
you're-
that.
You're, no,
Don't
you're-
give me
no,
speculations,
you're
give me facts.
You're giving me speculation as well.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm
You're
not.
saying maybe white people were never in America until they came
I
sort of in the
said
Middle Ages.
about the numbers, remember?
I don't know. about
In
the
numbers,
as
they were not really. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody settled before Columbus came there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Right.
maybe the Arabs went there because there are many Arabs who claim that they actually went to South America. and
Okay,
to,
but that's
to North
obviously
America
wrong.
as well.
That's
Well,
not-
you can't say obviously. That is their theory.
No, I can because if you look at the salutarian hypothesis and you look at the evidence that it has,
Hypothesis.
it says.
Again, hypothesis. Give me facts, bro.
See, I
We're
don't-
not talking about science
I think you-
theories here. We're talking about history.
I wonder if you-
history cannot be just hypothesis.
Do you,
When you have history,
do you
give me
understand?
facts.
Do you understand that you can apply the scientific method to history?
You can, but it's speculation.
But you could broaden the definition to speculation and say that you could say that the idea that the Earth
Why
is
you
round is
why you're
speculation.
arguing about a point which is quite clear that before the Europeans came there, before they
Yes,
came to North and
yes,
South America,
yes.
they were even if I accept your hypothesis, they probably were a small fraction, a small minority.
Could be. I'm saying
in
I
those
don't know. I'm
continents.
saying I don't know.
Okay,
To be
anyway.
fair, in fairness, I didn't come here,
Yeah.
prepared for a debate.
They were
yeah.
colonialists.
Yeah,
They came
sure,
as colonialists,
sure,
and that's
sure,
fact.
sure.
And the local population was almost wiped out. Okay, I wouldn't say all of them, but almost wiped out.
Yeah.
And the reason that
Largely
happened
through
is
disease.
because of violence that they brought along,
Okay.
and the diseases they
Okay,
brought along with them.
mostly diseases, and also let's
brought the
not,
diseases?
of course us, and
Exactly.
let's not forget the tribes killing each other as well. Okay,
No,
it's
look,
not like they were all living peacefully, and
I
then
didn't say they were.
then
Did
the
I say
evil
that?
Europeans showed up.
That's a straw man argument. I never said that.
No,
Every
I'm saying
every
that's something you
country
didn't
have their
factor in.
own
It's not a
internal
straw man, it's not a
problems,
straw man.
but it doesn't mean you go and occupy that land and then wipe out the local population
okay.
just because you can go and thrive in there. By the
Okay.
way, what is the point
I
you
was
made?
I was
That we can,
saying so there is a difference, right, between fine, you want to say violently settling, okay?
colonizing. Use the term. Use the correct term. Colonizing.
I think the correct term is
Literally
arriving.
colonizing.
Arriving is not an incorrect term. They arrived. There's a difference between arriving in a
Colonizing.
geographic territory, okay, right, where states, form states.
Why the
have not
euphemism?
been-
I don't know why.
It's not a euphemism.
It's arriving when they colonize them by force.
They arrived. Did they not land in boats?
Yes,
Okay,
they did
on America?
for a purpose. They went
Yeah.
there with an army for a purpose.
Okay.
So imagine this: if a country, let's say Malta, tomorrow comes here with a shipload of soldiers,
Yeah.
would you say they're arriving to England?
I would say, yeah. In a way, they are.
I hope the immigration officers agree with you.
I say that about when immigrants come here. I say foreigners are arriving in our land, okay, and
With
making
an
it
army.
unsustainable.
Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah, it's kind of an invasion right now, but
Seriously, you're not serious about this. If
I mean, do you know what's happening in Greece
If
right
they
now?
came with an army, it would be an invasion, literally.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
So don't just say arriving. They invaded or they colonized.
okay, but this is
That's
not,
a better term.
Okay, no, but this is not an invasion though.
Which one?
The America. That's not an invasion.
So they didn't come with boatloads of soldiers.
It's not an invasion.
Did they come with soldiers or not?
They came. Yes, they would have had
For
military
what?
personnel with them.
To have a tea party in America?
Not for an invasion.
For what?
I know what you're trying to do.
Well, I know for what they came, and everybody
Yeah,
knows.
yes, to colonize
this is
them.
axiomatic.
I'm saying
In the
you need to
the
draw a
history of
dichotomy
colonialism.
between colonization and an invasion. Anyway, my point, if I could make it before we
Please
get
do, yeah.
caught up on any more semantics. So there is a difference, and I'm going to just use his words so that we can settle this again.
Colonization.
Like, and think of this just so that you can not accuse me of downplaying. Think of the most violent word. Like, there's a difference between colonizing or invading or massacring or whatever, between coming onto and colonizing, land, a geographical territory, right?
With an army.
Where it's not really an army, but fine. Okay, where a formal nation state has not been established. Okay, there's a difference between that and arriving. See, arriving again. I'm not down.
Oh, what do you mean formal nation state?
Okay, we can discuss nation
Are you
state.
saying it wasn't the United States of America at that time?
No.
Then what do you mean formal nation
I'm
state?
saying they didn't
these
ha-
people
they didn't
who
form
were
states
there,
and-
these people who were there, they had a sovereign
No,
land,
they
sovereign country.
didn't. No, they didn't.
They might
They
not
didn't.
have
No, they
labeled
didn't.
it as you wished, but they
It's not
separately.
not to do with what I wish. They
Their-
didn't have sovereignty.
their
They're
territories
they
were-
weren't sedentary. They moved around. It's not. They didn't have the concept of this is our country. We're going to. These are our borders. We're going to protect
So why
them.
are they called
They didn't think like that. Well,
Oh,
they're natives because they existed in the land. Just that's